When Jesus was in the Garden of Gethsemane, he asked the three, Peter and John, I forget who the other one was, to stand and wait and pray. They heard his words, but they didn't listen to what he was saying because they went to sleep. And he came back and said, can't you wait an hour, for just an hour? He said, I ask you to wait and pray, lest you fall into temptation. And they went back to sleep. Jesus gives words of wisdom to those who are willing to listen, and I hope you are. And listen to what he said here this morning. He said, in my eye, let not your hearts be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. Again, this is words of comfort to those who know him personally and are part of his family. And I want us to jump on down to verse number 6. And again, answering the question to what we was talking about a few moments ago when I said all of us are searching for something. Regardless of who we are or what we are, we're searching for something, searching for a way someplace. Jesus says, I am the way. Now, just how we sometimes get confused with the simple things that Jesus says. Many of us try to add to and try to make it complicated because the rewards are so great. The way must be so difficult and so hard to find. The rewards are so great that regardless of how wealthy we are, we can never buy it. If all of us here today put every penny that we own or represent, sell all the land, and put all of the resources together, it wouldn't buy one soul to this place of paradise that Jesus is talking about. If we put all the resources of Aldrine County and put in one bundle, one soul would not be able to step out into eternity without purchase. And we can get bigger yet, all the resources and all the wealth in the state of Missouri, it wouldn't buy one toenail. But how can something be so rewarding be obtained so simply? Throughout the last, putting out 2,000 years, we've tried to make receiving Christ complicated. We've tried to get into this place of paradise extremely complicated. To a place where there's rooms for everybody that are willing to go. Where the streets, it says, look like they're paved with gold. Where we live for eternity. People are trying to buy with just about everything. But yet Jesus says it's so easy to obtain. He says, I am the way. He don't say add something to it. He don't say this and. He says, I'm the way, the truth, the life. No man, no person, no individual cometh unto the Father but by me. Jesus says, I am the way. Well, I want us to look just for a few moments this morning about what the way Jesus is. Jesus, first of all, for those of us, both saved and lost, is the way out. Now, we was in this room, and as big as it is, and we padlocked these doors, or solid that wall there, the only way for, and all the windows, the only way for us to get out is through the back door. And also lock this door. And if the room was made out of lead or steel and it was so thick that no other source could break through it, and there's only one door, very few of us would stay in there for a long period of time, we'd want to get out. Jesus says, I am the way out. Out of what? Out of the wilderness of a small three-letter word spelled S-I-N. Jesus says, I am the way out of sin. Both of you that's here today and have never received Christ as your Savior, and those here have received Him, part of His family, and still continue in sin. Jesus says, I'm the way out. We no longer have to tarry in the hard water. We no longer have to rub elbows with those continually in sin. We can get out of that pocket. Jesus says, I'm the way out of the wilderness of sin. And sin is a wilderness. Shall I speak with experience? I've been there. Both before I received Christ and after I received Christ. And the only way out was through Jesus. Now we may try to solve some of our problems, we may try to work some of them out, we may try to reject some of the filthy habits and the sin that's in our life, but to get out of the wilderness of it, we only can make it through Jesus Christ. He says, I'm the way out of the wilderness of sin, both for the Christian and the non-Christian. Only through Jesus. And then on second thought is Jesus is the way through. Lo, I am with you always. This is talking to the Christians. This is talking to those who are part of God's family. Those who have received Jesus Christ as their personal Savior. He says, I am the way through. Lo, I am with you always through the trials and the temptations and the tribulations that this world offers and lays down before us. I've never met the person yet, I've said this many times, that can go through the trials and tribulations and the temptations of this world without yielding to some. Jesus says, I'm the way through. If you just follow me. Peter, when Jesus was walking on the water, Peter cried out, said, who is it? And Jesus says, it's I. Peter said, Lord, if it's really you, let me or bid me to come to you. And Jesus says, just come on. Come on, Peter. And Peter got out in the water and he started to walk. And you know the story well. And as long as Peter kept his eyes on Jesus, he walked on the water. And when he got to looking at the waves, and he got to looking at the trials and the tribulations and the temptations around about him, got to looking at the storm, boom, he went down. And the same today, Jesus is the only way through. When I was a child, not a child, a teenager and a child, our parents stopped. Oh, I feel sorry for them young people. With all the temptations of the world. And now that I'm a father and I've got a teenager now, I say, oh, I feel sorry for the young people of this world. With all the temptations, with all the freedom of sin. And it was true when I was way back then, when I was a teenager, as today. Jesus was the only way through the sins that Satan placed before me. Jesus is not only the way out, Jesus is not only the way through, and this is talking to the Christians, Jesus says, I am the way in. Now we've talked about this already. All of us want to go to heaven. I've never met very many people that didn't. None of us want to spend eternity in hell.